What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Prop Wiz. I'm your host, Wiz. Today, we're gonna be talking about one of the centerpieces of my collection. Usually, this is the first thing that people see, that people recognize. I will say most people see the Han Solo and the Carbonite first, but you'd be surprised at how many people who do not know what the Carbonite thing is, probably never seen Return of the Jedi or seen it so long ago, they just don't click. But this bad boy right here is an international star. Everybody that walks in here recognizes him, even people who haven't seen Star Wars. So that's why I always consider this the centerpiece, man. This is the thing that it gets everybody's attention. And you see people's eyes really light up when they find out that I actually made this thing. One of the crazy things about my R2 is this is the second thing that I ever 3D printed. The first thing was the Rocketeer jetpack from the movie The Rocketeer. I actually failed that print. That was my first printing. Again, absolutely crazy to try to start with something that big and that complicated for the first thing that you ever 3D, before I even understood what 3D printing is and what it was doing. The Rocketeer jetpack didn't come out good at all. It's still sitting in the garage. Luckily, I was able to get my hands on some better Rocketeer files, way more accurate, way easier to print, and I was able to re-tackle that project and came out with a dope jetpack. But the old broken down one, the first print, is still in the garage today to kind of remind me where I came from, I guess. With that being said, even though I didn't accomplish the Rocketeer, my first 3D print, for some reason, I had it in my brain that I'd be able to print this huge thing. Now, one thing I will say, the files were a lot more manageable. In fact, this is where I really started to understand the importance of where the print is on the print bed, how it should be turned, where it should be on the print bed, how important it is for the print bed to be level. Like, basically all the basics, essentials of 3D printing, I learned kind of printing this thing. I do want to point out, I got the files from a place called astromet.net. Link will be in the description. And it was just real awesome, man. They just had a file that you can download right from there. And they just had tons of astromechs, not even just R2, just tons and tons of astromech droids. And they had multiple versions of the R2, depending on what kind of print bed you had. So they had some that was very large where you can print the whole dome, the whole body. And then they had some, which is the ones I use. I have a CR10, a Creality CR10. So this one, for instance, the dome was actually broken up in pieces that would fit on that bed. And really the cool thing about that is only the big pieces had to been broken up. So that's the body. The dome was broken up, I think, into 6 triangles, and the legs, I think, were broken up into 2 different parts. The way the files are printed, everything connects real well. The body actually had screw parts in there, screw holes in there on the inside. So when you connected everything, you can actually screw it together to secure it as well as glue it. And then of course you have tons of just little pieces that print out anyway that attach. Of course, it adds more dimension, makes it look more realistic, as well as it being super easy to print those little parts. Now, one of the things I learned was how important it was to make sure the print bed was level. I have a lot of parts on here that I printed that was actually warped because I didn't have it on the print bed right. One of the beautiful things about Star Wars, I was able to lean into it. I already knew that I was gonna make a weathered version of the R2. And of course, one of the famous things about Star Wars is the world is very lived in, very weathered. So the fact that a couple of pieces warped, I was able to fill in the blanks a little bit with Bondo. Some of the parts I didn't even fill in because it just added to the story and just made it look just that much more lived in, that much more weathered, basically making it, you know, imperfect. And this took me to the next level of painting. Since making this, I've moved on to doing more airbrushing. And in some occasions, I even use paint guns when I'm doing helmets, like bigger things. Like if I was to do this today, I probably would use the paint gun. But at this time, I use spray paint. Again, you lean into the imperfections. Not that the spray paint did horrible, man. You can do some good work with spray paint. I can really hit the details with airbrush nowadays, you know? So I have fallen in love with the airbrush. Dude, it was basic. I used a matte white for everything that's white for most of the body. I use silver for the dome. And for the blue parts, I use a spray paint that was specific to cars and stuff. In fact, this is Chrysler blue that I use for the blues on this. It's crazy because I've learned so much since building this. Even if I was to redo this today, a couple of the techniques would be the same. That Chrysler blue would probably be one of them. I still got cans of it in the garage. I really love how that came out. In fact, paint-wise, the only thing that I would do different is probably airbrush the dome on aluminum grade versus using the spray can. I got aluminum paint now. In fact, using the Rocketeer jetpack that I did complete well, I was able to use an aluminum airbrush paint that, I mean, it looks exactly like brushed metal. So that's probably what I would use on this. But again, with all the weathering, the dust look, man, I even got real dust, dirt looking stuff, particles all over it. Man, it ended up looking great. Like I wouldn't change anything about this one. I'm just thinking about that next one that I'm gonna print. And with that being said, yes, I am thinking about printing another one, only because one of the things I didn't take advantage of, the files, the 3D print files of this, is it's actually built to have the mechanics to make a working one of these, a remote control one where the head moves, like all the gears, the crevices for the gears and everything is inside of this bad boy. So mine is empty except for the electronics that's lighting the eyes and the hologram. For the next one, I don't know if I would make it mechanical, like fully remote control, but at the very least, I probably would put some motors and some gears in there to make sure that the head turns around and stuff like that. Maybe have one of the legs kick out. I guess it's all really dependent on how much those motors cost. I haven't researched that at all because again, when I built this, I knew it was gonna be static. I knew it was gonna be sitting somewhere. So I really didn't stress it for this first print. Now I'm just trying to give myself a reason because I love this so much. What would give me the reason to print another one? And really just taking advantage of how diverse those files were is what keeps driving me to that thought. And at the same time, I feel like I should have one of these on each floor, right? So that would actually equal me printing 2 more of these, one for upstairs, one for the man cave, and this one right here is in the living room, right here in the living room. Like how many people have an R2-D2 in their living room? That's right, I'm the coolest.
Ready for some power? Okay.
Again, the Astromech website, man, is just a pool of resources. So I was able to go in there, see what kind of lights I needed. It gave you the files to program everything to make sure that it's working right, and you were able to see what other ideas other people have. Now mine, head isn't even connected. I can actually take my head right off. That's because I wasn't 100% confident with my skills with working with the electrics. I did leave that open just in case I have to go in there and work on them. Again, if I reprint this thing, at the very least, that would be one of the things that I changed. I do got to give a shout out to the family because there was R2 pieces all over the house, even the kitchen table, the dining room table, in the living room. Dude, I had pieces everywhere when I was working on this thing, and they stood by me anyway. But anyways, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you like the video, please press the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And as always, thank you. Thank you for the support. Thanks for watching and engaging. Love you guys to death, and I'll check you out next time, all right? Peace.